Hallo en welkom by Fokus. Ek is Lenet Francis. Later vanaand kyk ons na die druk wat asielsoekers op Messina se gesondheidsdienste en die personeel plaas en die verdeeldheid wat dit kan veroorsaak. Maar eers ons hoofstorie vanaand. Talle pensioenbegunstigdes in die Wes-Kaap het nie van dese maand hulle toelaas en pensioene ontvang nie. Volgens owerhede is talle begunstigdes nog nie geregistreer nie weens die tuisbesoekstelsel wat sloer en ander administratiewe probleme wat opduik. Die herregistrasieproses is deel van die Departement van Maatskaplike Ontwikkeling se poging om bedrog hok te slaan, maar dit blyk nadelige gevolge te hê, want intussen word baie begunstigdes wat die toelaat broodnodig het benadeel. Hier is Fokus-regisseur Jolien Phyllis en kameraman Malusi Ntanzi se verslag.
Die sperdatum vir die herregistrasie is telkens verleng weens die feit dat die Suid-Afrikaanse Agentskap vir Maatskaplike Sekerheid nie betyds almal kon registreer nie. Hulle het beloof om tuisbesoeke by begunstigdes bo die ouderdom van 75 en die wat bedlêend is af te lê. Dit is van die begunstigdes vereis om met SASSA te skakel sodat hulle die tuisbesoeke kon aflê. Die 85-jarige Lillian Dube van Yangan, Kaapstad, se dogter het telkens vergeefs probeer om SASSA in kennis te stel dat haar ma geregistreer moet word sedert die proses begin het.
Die mense het nooit dit gekom om na my toe te kom. Ek het net gehoor hulle kom hier te wag, ek sê toe het nie gekom.
They said to me they don't need me, they want her facially because they must take photos and have fingerprints as well. And then I applied that they must come to house to visit because they said from people like from 75 upwards and those that are bedridden especially, they're going to do the home visits and they're going to do the reviewing at home.
I think certainly the whole process has been a bit flawed and I think there's been a lot of misinformation around it and older persons have not sometimes understood perhaps the full process, but certainly those that have been promised a home visit, not all, but quite a few have been let down.
Toby is een van die gelukkiges wie se pensioen nie gestaak is nie, maar is bekommerd omdat haar registrasieproses sloer en nie afgehandel word nie.
Ek kan nie sonder die geld nie. Want as ek hom gekry het, hy help vir my baie ding. Nou se lewe alle die kinders, jy kan nie by die kinders kry. Nou se kinders mos. Hulle werk vir hulle self.
There are days that she panics and thinks that those people never came to me. So I'm worried that my money, I'm not going to get my money. That is her main fear, is that one of these days the money will be stopped. And how am I going to approach her if the money is stopped that particular day? She will die on that bed. Because every time, if I come at a store and say there's no money today, I'm telling you, you don't know how she behaves there.
One of the complaints that we've had is that the SASSA toll-free number doesn't work. And we have a toll-free number and people have phoned us hoping that we could resolve the issue, which of course we can't. We have no jurisdiction over SASSA and the pensions. But certainly older persons live from one pension day to the next. And some of them, if they do go to the pay point, they've used their last few rand, they might even have borrowed it.
Die toela is vir haar en soveel ander hul enigste bron van inkomste.
Die kos ook wat ek moet eet, ek kan nie sommer so eet nie. Die dokter sê ek moet groente, alles is duur. En ek moet die vrugte, alles is duur, dan moet ek dit koop.
Die inwoner van Bosmont in Johannesburg, Shereen de Vries, se ongeskiktheidstoelaag is onlangs gestak. Sy het sedert 2005 'n toelaag ontvang nadat sy weens haar gesondheid afgedank is. Sy is 'n epilepsieleier.
They said with medication the epilepsy can be controlled, so it doesn't prevent me from working. This attacks get me and I can't feel it coming on. I can be sitting here and just collapse and I won't even know.
Sy het 3 weke gelede laas 'n aanval gehad.
I go once every 6 months, but the medication I get, I go once a month to collect medication because I take medication twice a day. I take 5 tablets in the morning and 4 in the evening.
Vir die jongman, Nhlanhla Mazibuko van Dobsonville in Johannesburg, is dit 'n bitter stryd. Hy sorg al die afgelope paar jaar vir sy ma wat aan skizofrenie ly. Mazibuko het 'n permanente toelaat ontvang, maar moes weer aansoek doen nadat hulle ingelig is dat haar identiteitsnommer gedupliseer is.
After then changing the new ID, she go again to renew a grant. So when he started to renew a grant, they give him a same grant. And before, he was getting a permanent, you see. So when he lapsed, the grant lapsed. When the grant lapsed, he can't to go to renew another one because they need a man, you see. And now even she's ill, she can't just go for herself, you see, because they want her to go to the doctor to attend the treatment. She can't attend the treatment anymore.
Sy het verlede jaar November laas behandeling ontvang.
Even the bed is full of urine, you see. And she sleep also in the bed, even if she's wet the bed.
Nhlanhla het drome soos enige jong man om die broodwinner in hul huis te wees en so na sy ma se behoeftes om te sien. Maar dit is nie moontlik nie omdat hy nie sy ma alleen by die huis kan laat wanneer hy gaan werk soek nie.
I didn't choose to live life like this, you see. I didn't choose to live life like this, but things are happening. But I need help. I'm really needing help.
Kenners meen die toelaat is baie inwoners se enigste bron van inkomste en dat die begunstigdes in die hande van geldskieters sal beland omdat hulle desperaat is.
Net hierna praat ons met SASSA, die South African Social Services Agency, oor herregistrasie van begunstigdes en waarom daar steeds probleme binne hulle administratiewe stelsels blyk te wees. Bly ingeskakel. To comment on it. I'm sure there's a lot of people who would want you to comment on it. I think we're going to move one to the side. Please, Mr. Goldman.
Yes,
Tommy, if you calm me down, just remember the left side, ne? Thank you. We have about 10 minutes, and hopefully we'll be able to cover a lot of that. Oh, I hope it's not. So you're telling the story because you've done it so many times before.
Yeah, well, we've done extensive media campaign around it.
Soos ons in die insetsel gesien het, is talle pensioen en toelaagbegunstigdes in die duister oor die herregistrasieproses. Die vraag is, kan die South African Social Services Agency, oftewel SASSA, werklik waar die pyp rook? En wat is dan hierdie kinkels in die kabel wat verhoed dat die proses vlot verloop? By my in die ateljee om oor die kwessies te praat is die waarnemende hoof uitvoerende beampte van SASSA, meneer Frank Earl. Frank, baie dankie vir jou tyd. Good evening. You wanted to comment on our insert firstly.
Yes, Lynette, thank you. Good evening, and thank you for having me on the show. I've looked at the insert. There are two issues highlighted. The one is the re-registration of over 75-year-olds. The second part of the insert is related to assessments in terms of disability grants. But let me begin by addressing the first part of the insert. When we started the re-registration campaign in April 2012, we had made a commitment through the Minister of Social Development to say that all beneficiaries are over 75 years old, we will come to you. We have lived up to that commitment, and to date we've done almost 49,000 home visits. We have about 2,000 that are outstanding, which we're hoping to finalize at the end of October. We had requested people to make applications via the toll-free number, which is the SASSA number. We'd also asked people to call in to the Cash Pay Master Services toll-free number, which is the service provider that was appointed to do the biometric verification of the pensioners. Most people had responded, and we had done quite an extensive media campaign. We spent over 50 million rand throughout the period informing people where to apply and how to apply. As far as the old age people's concerned, we've had a compliance of about probably 98% of the older people who have responded. More of the non-compliant people came from the child support grant, where very little of those obviously had really come forward, given the fact that our preliminary investigations show that there's a lot of fraud in that area, because during the process in itself, we cancelled 200,000 child support grants, and over and above that, we had cancelled just over 300,000 grants.
Okay, on that point, let me just double check my facts. So are we saying at this point in time, 470,000 people have failed to re-register?
No, it's not 400, it's 340,000 people that we had lapsed who had failed to re-register. When we published the list to say that these are the people that we're going to lapse, we excluded the over 75-year-olds who had not re-registered. There were 24,400 of them, and we did not lapse foster care children and children who receive foster care who are disabled, which would be care-dependent children. Of the 24,400 people who were over 75 years, we lapsed those grants last month with the fact that those people had not come forward.
So everybody, particularly the elderly that had to re-register, are you saying with regards to those home visits, everybody has been registered?
No, we've got an estimated 2,000 home visits that are outstanding for people over the age of 75, which we're hoping to finish by the end of October.
From my understanding, if I haven't re-registered, I walk with this fear that I could either not be paid or will not receive my pension or my grant. And what then happened in the case of the Western Cape when so many people did not last month receive their grants?
It wasn't about the Western Cape, it was a national project, and I think of the 24,400 people that we suspended, it was in all 9 provinces, and I think the Western Cape was one of them. We had an estimated 3,600 people in the Western Cape. We had almost 4,000 people in KZN. We had said you have not come forward to re-register. You would understand that the project ended on the 31st of October. The Minister granted an extension for April for 1 month. From May, June and July, we granted a further 90 days, which is in line with PAJA, which is the Promotion of the Administrative Justice Act, which makes provision for people to make representation as to why their grants should not be cancelled. And people heeded to that call. We further gave an extension in August to say to those people who have not come forward. We put stop payments on those cases, and as people came forward, we then released the payment. The people affected, we accept to some degree that some people might have fallen through the cracks because they did not know that they needed to apply. Now,
sorry, on that point with falling through the cracks, I saw a report that one contact list completely went missing.
That is a report that was issued from the Western Cape. SASSA wishes to confirm that there was no list that went missing.
So everybody that needed to be re-registered have been re-registered?
Those that have applied, the re-registration process in terms of home visits, it's ongoing, particularly in the Western Cape in itself. Those that did apply, we did not lapse those grants. home visits were conducting. Those who came to apply after we had lapsed the grants, we reinstated the 24,400 and we're continuing to do the home visits because we do understand some people have called in and Mrs. Johns would say, I don't watch TV, I didn't read the newspaper, I didn't see. We also expected the children of these older persons at least to be able to then educate the parents and bring them forward to say that you need to come and swap your card. Others we found that have been overseas and they've been calling us from overseas and saying that we're out of the country for the last 2 years. We're visiting children in various countries.
Frank, sorry to interrupt you. So if I'm 75 and over, I'm a pensioner, I'm watching this edition of Fokus right now, but I still haven't received any home visit. Do I have to fear that I'm going to receive my pension or not receive it next month?
What we've done is that for those who've applied, we've given them an extension up until the end of November. Those, we continue with those. For those who have not applied, we're urging those to come forward and apply. They could call our call center, they could go to the nearest...
You heard that the toll-free number was problematic.
There was a time where the toll-free number was congested because a lot of people had been calling. The lines have obviously been freed now, given the fact that we've completed the bulk of the home visits. For those who have not, we're urging those people to still come forward and apply. What we're also doing over and above that, we've said to all of our 9 provinces, try to go and do home visits, do door-to-door campaigns, and try to find these older people. We do accept out of the 24,400, some of them are out of the country and some of them might not be aware. So we're going to take the process further by ensuring that we go to their homes within the next 60 days and try to find them. Every effort has been made to try to locate most of the people that could not and did not know that they needed to re-register.
Some of the research we've also shown that a lot of the elderly who do then have the smart card to withdraw money find that when they go to some supermarkets that the transaction costs are pretty high, between 6, if I'm not mistaken, and 20 rands. So if you're getting somewhere around 1,260, every rand, whether it's 20 rand for transaction cost or not, counts. So what has happened to that agreement? Wasn't that agreement in place between SASSA and some of these supermarkets that they would try to reduce or keep it at least minimal?
What we did was the service provider that was appointed, which was Cash Pay Master Services, had signed service level agreements with approved payment vendors. It simply means that if you went to these vendors, you wouldn't pay anything to withdraw your money. If I may give you an example, stores, retail stores like Checkers, Spar, if people use those facilities, they would not pay. If a beneficiary used the pay point, of course, they would not pay. If you use your card, because your card is interoperable, it is a MasterCard, you use it at any ATM, you will be subject to banking fees. The difference is if the card is used on the 1st, most people, the money is available on the 1st. So most people would rather rush to draw their money on the 1st rather than to wait for the 10th. This has created multiple payment channels for people. So people opt to use most of the channels. Out of the pay file of about 9.5 million that we pay monthly, 70% of those people use point of sales, they use retails, and they use bank. About 3.5 million still go to the traditional.
Let's quickly get to the problems that you have experienced in the past with this new system. What has been the technical glitches that you've had that some people say this is accounted for them not being paid?
Some of the technical glitches which we had when the project started was people forgot their PINs. People lost their cards, and when you lose your card and you ask for a card replacement, you would then pay 20 rand. Now, obviously, when we replace the card, the money does not go in immediately. It goes in after 72 hours. We have situations where people take their cards and give it to microlenders, and they say that the card is lost. Now, they come in and apply for a replacement card. So when we issue the replacement card, the funds will then obviously go in on 72 hours after that. The reason is we have to investigate whether or not that card was stolen or there was any fraud committed on that card.
Okay, I don't want to elaborate too much on that because our time is limited. I do, however, just want to ask you, if I have not re-registered as a recipient or as a beneficiary, what can I still do?
You can call the toll-free number, which SASSA has a toll-free number, which is 0800 60 10 11. We also have a toll-free number of Cash Pay Master Services, which is 0800 60 0160, where people can then call in and make an appointment to re-register. Currently, at the moment, people who have not re-registered, who have been lapsed, can come forward within the next 90 days and apply for restoration of the grant. We will restore it and back pay it from the day it was lapsed.
What I'll try and do is towards the end of this edition, we'll just get these numbers again. Thanks so much for your time. Net hierna, asielsoekers plaas geweldige druk op Messina se gesondheidsfasiliteite en die personeel daar bly ingeskakel. D 1011.
And that is the SASSA call center.
SASSA call center.
And then 0800
No,
60
there's these people that know one number, we must give them. Otherwise, they're going to get confused. Dankie, thank you so much. 1011. Yeah. Was the fact that people said that. Welkom terug. Die gesondheidsstelsel in Messina is besig om uit sy nate te bars met die groot getalle buitelanders wat mediese hulp in die dorp kom soek. Vroue vertel hoe hulle onwettig die land betree, maar meen dit is die moeite werd omdat baie van hulle sukkel om 'n bestaan te maak en skaars vir mediese dienste kan betaal. Hier is Fokus regisseur Jurien Phyllis en kameraman Sibusiso Mqendane se verslag.
Messina is op die grens tussen Suid-Afrika en Zimbabwe geleë. Daagliks stroom duisende asielsoekers en trekarbeiders vanaf Zimbabwe, Rwanda en die Kongo hierheen. Die groter meerderheid werk op die plaas in die gebied, terwyl ander kom handel dryf. Weens die groot getalle is daar dikwels 'n gebrek aan mediese dienste vir die werkers. Kenners meen baie van hulle betree die land onwettig en moet allerhande gevolge dra.
Many people, as they cross the river, come upon thugs locally known as magumagumas. Many of them get raped. So many of those mothers that might give birth here, and we have documented several of them, have been victims of sexual violence as they were crossing.
Hoewel van die vroue seksueel aangerand word, neem hulle steeds die risiko om na Messina te reis, omdat hulle nie vir die mediese dienste in hulle onderskeie lande kan betaal nie.
I came to South Africa to give birth because in Zimbabwe it's expensive.
Lebogang Moyo is een van vele vroue wat na Suid-Afrika gevlug het om geboorte te kom skenk.
I'm not the only one. Many of us cross the border in order to get help.
Cross the borders, we are going to because in Zimbabwe everything is man. The women who are coming here monthly, it's about 600 or 700. Only the women and the children, 324 a month.
Maar vir van hierdie vroue is dit 'n bitter stryd.
If they come from northern countries like Ethiopia, have traveled for several months on the road, they come here in a bad nutritional state, you know. The Congolese is emotionally traumatized and women violated sexually in their country, and they reach Musina 2 to 3 months later, some of them being diagnosed pregnant.
Kenners meen veral in die Wembe-distrik word daar nie genoeg begroot om die massa inwoners wat mediese hulp soek te dra nie.
The mobile nursing teams that go out to the farms don't have enough nurses. They can barely buy paper clips. They are so constrained. The hospital itself is sometimes denying treatment under Dr. Dube, this was the case, on the basis that the Zimbabweans are not on the budget. So the burden in this community is something to be taken into consideration based on the values and constitution of South Africa. But the resources have been denied. The resources from the national level, from the provincial level, to take into consideration that this is a zone with a lot of mixed migration.
In meeste gevalle maak van die immigrante nie die tog huis toe nie.
Right now, I don't have money to go home, but if I get money, I would return back home.
But if I get money, I go back to Zimbabwe.
Some of them are sick. They are positive, some are got TB, but MSF is the one who's helping us, like those who are raped by on the way coming in South Africa. We have to call MSF to come here and collect them and help them with the medication, or whether they transfer them to hospital.
Die bestuur van die Musina Hospitaal was nie beskikbaar vir kommentaar nie.
En nou net weer daardie tolvrye nommer vir SASSA, dit is 0800 60 1011, 0800 60 1011. En nou ook vir Brokkie Spognuus. Fokus spesialist regisseur Keith Suister en kameraman Gerrit Botes is onlangs as die streekswenners in die Woudekom joernalis van die jaar aangewys vir hul storie oor die Bontekoe diamantmyn tragedie in Namakoland. Geluk kollegas. En ongelukkig was dan nou al van Fokus se kant vanaand. Kykers se kommentaar en voorstelle is altyd welkom. Skryf net die woord Fokus gevolg deur 'n kort boodskap en SMS dit na 34444. SMS kos R2. Word gerus ook 'n lid van ons Fokus groep op Facebook en volg ons gerus op Twitter by Fokus ZA. Van my Lenet Francis en die res van die Fokusspan en ons gaste, totsiens dan tot volgende Sondag aand.